tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. We were talking about the Four Noble Truths. Noble truth of suffering, noble truth of the origin of suffering, noble truth of the cessation of suffering, and the noble truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering. Four of them, and we are in the fourth noble truth. This is the important one for us because the fourth noble truth is actually the practice model, something that we must do. Okay. Without that fourth noble truth, which is the noble truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering, without practicing it, without developing it, without culturing it, we will not truly understand what suffering means. Everything in this universe of mind and matter is all suffering. Intellectually, theoretically, of course, you can read the book and understand. But to actually experientially understand, one must practice the Fourth Noble Truth. And also the origin leading to the cessation of suffering, which is craving. Okay. That one needs to be abandoned. That second noble truth one must abandon. Only when we abandon that, because as it is the cause, the effect suffering will be totally cease to exist. When the suffering ceases to exist, that is the third noble truth. So without the fourth, you won't understand what the first noble truth is, suffering, which must be thoroughly understood. Second noble truth, which must be abandoned. And the third noble truth, which must be realized. These are the functions of each. And the fourth noble truth is one that must develop. We have gone through that, the overall picture of the fourth noble truth, which is actually the Eightfold Noble Path. To enumerate it, the first one is the wisdom group, which is the correct understanding or correct view. Second one is the correct thought or the right thought, Sammasankappa. Those two are called wisdom group. And the next one is Sammankamanta, okay? Correct actions or deeds. Samavacha, correct speech. And Samma Asiva, correct livelihood. These three are called the morality group. So second group. And the third one is Samavariya, correct effort. Samasati, correct mindfulness, and Samadhi, correct concentration. That is the concentration group. So altogether 8 of them in details, but as a group there are 3 groups. Morality group, concentration group, and wisdom group. So those 3 are called the 3 pillars of Buddhism. In other words, if one wants to realize Nibbana, you must train in these 3 disciplines. Disciplines of morality, discipline of concentration, and discipline of wisdom. In short, these 8 noble truths one need to understand in 2 aspects. One aspect is one of the Eightfold Noble Path can be defined as preliminary path, which means what we are doing right now. We are practicing, we are meditating, the full foundation of mindfulness, and we are developing all these 8 constituents of the mind. So while we are meditating, while we are living according to the full foundation of mindfulness, we are on the preliminary path. Preliminary Eightfold Noble Path. And only when we attain the first path consciousness, in other words, when a person becomes the first noble person, only then one has the real Eightfold Noble Path. Real, in other words, complete, perfect, totally balanced. Only when you have this perfect, totally balanced, real path, then one will have the path consciousness. And vice versa, when you have a path consciousness, one already has the real Eightfold Noble Path. So, in that way, one need to understand. So when we practice that, in the first path consciousness, we have abandoned a certain, the gross form of mental defilements. This path consciousness eradicate a certain forms of mental defilements. And then when we got to the second noble person stage, it eradicate some mental defilements. And when you got to the third noble person, it eradicates more of the mental defilements, specifically all that falls under the form of dosa. Irritation, frustration, anxiety, worry, aversion, anger, hatred, ill will, all totally uprooted. And only when you got to the fourth stage, once abandoned any and every form of mental defilements, nothing left. And all these 3 full stages, all that one need to do is live and practice according to the 8 constituents of the path. So that is the little bit summary of what we have gone through. Today we are going to discuss more in detail about the group of morality. Morality group, sila. You can call it morality, you can call it precept, we can call it discipline. And in here, there are 3 of them, morality. First is samankamanta, correct or right actions, deed. But we already know all these what they are. The basic form of morality is the 5 precepts. We observe 5 precepts. And if you want further, we go to 8 precepts, 9 precepts, 10 precepts. We increase further. It's up to individual. And then if you become a monk, then you observe 227 precepts. So there are many different levels of precepts based on what you are doing. But the basic requirement is the 5 precepts. In the 5 precepts, the first one is refraining from killing. Second is refraining from taking that is not willingly given. The third is refraining from sexual misconduct. Fourth is refraining from false speech. And the fifth is refraining from taking any substance that could cloud the mind. Those are the 5. Those basic 5 is utterly necessary if you want to go on this path. And in fact, even though it is so basic and fundamental, these 5 can be totally uprooted only when one's become the first noble person. So don't think it is a small matter, these 5 precepts. When you become the first noble person, what it means is you will never break these 5 precepts. But in a technical sense, the thoughts of breaking these precepts, any form of thoughts to break these precepts, cannot even arise in the mind of that person. Okay. If no thought arises, nothing would be done, nothing would be committed. So this is very crucial. And in this morality too, we need to know in 3 different levels. One is reframing. Okay? Reframing only when we come across with a situation. Okay? Avoidance under an occasion or a situation. Whenever the occasions to break these precepts, you come face to face, you avoid to do it, you don't do it. That is one way of avoiding or abandoning. And second way is you avoid or abandon by taking precepts. In other words, every day you start with, today I'm not going to break any of the 5 precepts. You make a resolution to yourself. In other words, you take an oath to yourself that you are not going to break. Because of that resolution, you don't break. The first one is you don't take any resolution, any decision, any determination, but whenever you come across or happen to be in a situation, you don't do it. And the third one is you abandon. You abandon through the ultra-mundane path. Abandon is, we already said it, once you become the first noble person, okay, the first part consciousness, that 5 precept is totally abandoned. So there are 3 ways of abandonment. One is by avoiding or refraining on occasion. Second one is avoiding or refraining through resolution. And the third one is avoiding or refraining through reaching the path consciousness. There are 3 ways to abandon this morality. Or refraining, breaking these precepts. So the first one is samankamanta. Okay. Doing, refraining from any physical deeds that could hurt and harm other person. Basically, in terms of precept, the first precept, okay, refraining from killing any living beings, not just only human. That is one. And also refraining from taking anything that's not giving, stealing, robbing, extortion. That is also action by deeds. And the third one is sexual misconduct. The least, okay, you avoid doing sexual misconduct. So those three fall under the samankamanta, actually physical actions. You refrain from these things. And the second one is samavaja, refraining from wrong speech. And we all know there are 4 types of wrong speech. First of all is lying, straight up lying. Secondly is avoiding rude and harsh speech. And the third one is slander, words implanted to split unity, break unity, split between 2 people, 2 groups, 2 countries. It could be a false speech, or it could be even true, but you know that truth can break up the unity of others. With that in mind, you intentionally tell the truth, but with the intention of destruction. And the fourth one is frivolous talk. Any talks that do not produce any benefits to oneself, to others. There's no good results come out of that speech. Don't have to produce any bad result, but no good result come out of that speech. We have talked before in detail why it is. It's a waste of time. You engage these things, frivolous talk, hours on ends, and no good results come out of it. But those hours on ends, you could do a lot of good things, productive things, constructive things, wholesome things. That is being wasted. You don't even know that you have wasted it. For that reason, frivolous talk is also considered as a wrong speech. No, it doesn't do any harm, but wasting time is the worst waste of all waste. So that is the samavaja. If you avoid from all these things, is samavaja. And the third one is samaajiva. Samaajiva is like livelihood. So livelihood can fall under the physical deed too. Livelihood can also fall under the speech too. But it's being split up separately because we are not, okay, we won't be able to live in meditation. We won't be able to live in the monastery all the time. Most of our times we are making a living. We have to have a job to earn incomes. With that incomes, we can live, we can support the family, and so on and so on. So we all have to have a job. Majority of the people have to have a job. So that is the livelihood. Only when you renounce everything, okay, shave your head, go forth into the forest and meditate. All that you own is just 8 pieces, the ropes and the bowls and the mat and so on. Only 8. A monk can call it. These 8 pieces are their own. They don't own anything. They are not allowed to own anything. So that's why Buddha keep this livelihood separately. He didn't intend this Eightfold Path only for the monks, only for the hermit. He intended this Eightfold Path for everybody at any level. When you renounce it, fine. When you not renounce it, fine. If you are a spinster, bachelor, fine. If you are married, fine. If you have a huge family, fine. Whatever situation, if your mind is inclined towards the cessation, final goal, cessation of physical and mental suffering. But along the way to put in a modern way, we want to reduce stress, reduce stress, reduce stress. If you want to reduce stress, live according to this Eightfold Path. When you reduce stress, there are many benefits come along. Mental health become better, physical health become better, immune system grow better, and so on, endless. These are the benefits. We don't need to talk about benefits. Anyone at any level, any condition or situation of a life that we can think of, if we want to, we can live and practice according to this Eightfold Noble Path. Just a matter of how fast you want to travel this journey and how slow you want to travel this journey. That's the only difference. But regardless, if you live by this path according to these 8 constituents, first of all, you reduce your stress. You become happier and most peaceful. And also you create a happier and peaceful environment to your surrounding, to your fellow human beings. That is automatic, it comes. For that reason, the Buddha intends for every one of us, whoever truly wished to produce peace and happiness to oneself and the surrounding, the community, humanity. Yes, we can always say Nibbana is the final goal, but you don't have to strive with the immediate urgency. If you are not ready for it yet, but you can still live according to this Eightfold Path. That's why we all know the full foundation of mindfulness discourse. In that full foundation of mindfulness, Buddha's taught one chapter separately and in details how to live according to this Eightfold Noble Path in your daily life, daily activities. To the point of when you're sitting, you know you are sitting. When you're walking, you know you're walking. When you're doing a job, you know you are doing a job. When you're running, you know you are running. When you're washing your clothes, you know you're washing your clothes. When you're eating, you know you are eating. When you're pooping, when you're peeing, you know you are doing. Every aspect of your life is covered in that chapter. Sampajanya. If you think about it, that covers everyone, everybody in this world who wants to do, can do that. You don't have to have a time to sit down and meditate. You don't have to renounce your life and go into the forest. He gives in such a way, the same thing can be done by the everyday Joe, and the same thing can be done by a person who want to release himself from this rounds of birth and death. It's a great spectrum. That's why he gave these things. And this morality too, that's why from the 5 precepts right to the 227 precepts, a whole range for all different sets of people with the different mindsets and determination and goal. So don't say, this is not for me, this is too deep, too high, too spiritual. No, it covers every aspect of our life. That's why this morality is a part of this Eightfold Noble Path. So in this livelihood, what is the right livelihood? There's so many livelihoods. So the Buddha didn't define it, what is the right livelihood, but he put in a different way. What is the wrong livelihood? If you make your living by killing, in other words, violence and cruelty, hurting, harming, by killing, if that is a part of your livelihood, that's a wrong livelihood. And also, if you live your life by slavery, human trafficking, that is a bad livelihood. And the third one, if you live your life by arms trading, nowadays that's the greatest lucrative job. Governments are doing it, not only the individuals and groups. Arm trading, that is the wrong livelihood. And also, if you live your life by trading poison, poison is, you don't have to have a arsenic poison only, not just poison. Cocaine is a poison, crack is a poison, all the drugs are poison. It poisons the body and also it poisons the mind. So don't just think it is, you have to have accurately prescribed from the drugstore poison. Anything that affects the mind is a poison, these substances. So if you live by that, that's also a wrong livelihood. Killing, slavery, weaponry, and the poison. And the fifth one, I think, anybody? I'm slipping my mind at the moment.
Sex trade. Trade of people.
Yeah, slavery and that. Slavery and human trafficking. Yeah. Slavery and human trafficking. It will come back again. One more, when it comes back, I will pick it up. So those 5, the Buddha considered that as a wrong livelihood. And if you don't engage with that, then the remaining are considered like livelihood. In other words, if it doesn't hurt or harm, violence and cruelty are involved. If you look at it that way, you can be in the right livelihood. So those are the wrong livelihood one needs to avoid. And then in here too, we are meditating. When we are meditating, we do not kill, we do not steal, We do not lie, we do not have any sexual misconduct, and so on. In other words, at the period, during the period of a retreat, you are totally not committing any of these 5 moral groups or 3 moral groups: actions, speech, and livelihood. But you are not purposely focusing on it. So that's why these 3 are called the passive group. Before the beginning of the retreat, you already take the precepts. When you take the precepts, in other words, you make a resolution: I will not do such and such and such. So these are called 5 groups. But we all know when we are in the retreat, we don't take only 5 precepts. Some take 8, some take 9, some take 10. But if you look at this extended from 5 to 10, what it is basically, let's enumerate it. You don't eat any food after noon till to the next day dawn. You don't sing, you don't listen to song, you don't watch TV. In other words, singing, dancing, cosmetic, jewelry, and so on. Okay? You don't enjoy the high and luxurious places. What is it? You are restraining yourself from the sense pleasure. That's what it is. So in this moral group, if you want to step it up, not only reframing, that is hurting and harming. The second group is not refrain, but restraint. You restrain yourself from engaging with sense pleasure. So that is the next level. That's why we go to retreat. In the retreat, it is not only that we are reframing the precept, we go steps up. Precepts go to the point of restraint in engaging with sense pleasure. So that is the next level of precepts or morality, discipline. Basically, it's all discipline. And we know why we restrain. Because all these sense pleasures, all the sense pleasures are opposite to what we are looking or what we are searching, where we are going. But that is the spiritual pleasure or the ultra-mundane pleasure. We use the word pleasure for lack of a better word, not really a pleasure. Those kind of the bliss of spirituality and the sense pleasure, they are incompatible. They cannot live together, they cannot coexist together. And if you want to have the bliss of Dharma, one needs to abandon the sense pleasure. That is why we step up into the restraint level. That is 8, 9, or 10 precepts. And of course, 227 precepts, why do they have so much? Some of them are laid down by the Buddha not to, basically, not to hurt, not to harm, not to be in conflict with the society where the monks are living. They need support from the society. That is one of the things. But another thing is, if you really read the 227 precepts and live according to it, in other words, just by following that, you will be exactly living as if you are in a retreat. In a way, Buddha gives us in many different ways. Just by following these precepts and rules and regulations and discipline, you are actually putting yourself so that you are totally endowed with Eightfold Noble Path. That's a different way. He put it in a disciplinary way, he put it in a concentration way, he put it in a mindfulness way, in many different ways, but the goal and objective is only one, the bliss of peace and happiness. To do that, there are many different paths to follow, and he laid down all the paths for us. So that is the restraint. Morality is not only refrain, that's the basic minimum that we do need. And at the same time, it is, don't look at it so small. Only when you become the first noble person, you will never, under any circumstances, commit the 5 precepts. Refrain and restraint. That will give you a great foundation for the remaining part of concentration and wisdom. So that's a morality group. And the next one is concentration group, and the next one is wisdom group. Okay, let me pick up the livelihood again. By not killing, by not doing weapon trades, by not doing drugs or poison trades, by not having a slavery or human trafficking, still hasn't come back. But you can find out. And the concentration group and wisdom group, we will leave it for the next 2 classes. So may all of you be able to practice Satipatthana Vipassana meditation, and may you be able to walk straight on the preliminary path of Noble Eightfold Paths and achieve the real path as soon as possible.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Buddham